আমার বয়স 15 বছর একটু পর আমার
I'm
বিয়ের
15 years
অনুষ্ঠান
old,
অনুষ্ঠিত হবে আমার
and soon my
বাবার
wedding
আয়
ceremony will begin.
আমরা প্রচুর
My father's income is really low. We
এই
come from
কারণে
a
আমার
poor
পড়াশোনার
family.
খরচ দিতে পারে না
That's why my father can't afford my
উকিল হতে
education.
চাইছি আমি
I
পড়াশোনা
wanted to
শেষ
become a
করে
lawyer
একজন
after finishing my
উকিল হওয়ার
studies.
ইচ্ছা ছিল তেমন কিছু হতো না কিন্তু
What
ওই
fascinates me
জিনিসটা
about
আমরা
this
সবসময়
profession is
ন্যায়
the fight for
প্রতিশ্রুতি নিয়ে
justice.
পেছনে দৌড়াই
I've always
ন্যায়
believed
যদি
that
আসে তো
achieving
জীবন
justice
সুন্দর
makes the
হয়
world a better place,
ন্যায় আমার ওই
a belief
জিনিসটার
I've held
প্রতি
since
ছোটবেলা থেকে
childhood.
অনেক আগ্রহ
Now it seems
আমার
my
শুধু
future
এই
will be confined to
একমাত্র
the kitchen.
রান্নাঘর নিয়েই পড়ে থাকতে হবে সবার ক্ষেত্রে যা
Right
হয়
now, I don't know who
একটা
my
সংসারে
husband is
যাওয়ার
going to
পরে
be.
প্রথমে আমি
I've
মেয়ে
never
হিসেবে
met
যাবো
him
সেই
or talked
জায়গাতে
to him
পুত্রবধূ
before.
হব সেই
I
জায়গাতে
hope to
মা
be
হব
welcomed into my new
তাকে আমি
family
দেখিনি
as a
কখনো তার
daughter,
সাথে আমার
then as a
কথা হয়নি
daughter-in-law,
তার
and as a
সম্পর্কে
mother.
আমাকে কিছু বলাও হয়নি
This is the story of 38 million women in Bangladesh. The groom is also a minor. These two families have agreed to be filmed on the condition that their identities as well as the location of the ceremony remain undisclosed. In Bangladesh, the legal age for marriage is 18 for girls and 21 for boys. The bride's father is a fisherman in one of the country's poorest regions.
As a father, I had to make this choice because of my poor economic conditions. She should understand that, as her father, it's also difficult for me to bear such family pressure. I see this marriage as a solution, as after her marriage, it will take some of the expenses off my shoulders.
A union between two teenagers hidden from the eyes of the world, solemnized by a mullah in just 15 minutes. A marriage in which it was not the couple but their fathers who gave their consent. Bangladesh has the highest ratio of child marriages to population in Asia. In the Bagherhat district in the southwest of the country, 7 out of 10 married women are married before they turn 18. That's 20% more than the national average. Bithi is one of the child brides. She was married to Shahidul 4 years ago at the age of 16 while he was over 21. Their son Ryan was born a year after their wedding.
My father was struggling to provide for our family. There were 5 of us with my parents. So when they found a good groom, a good man from a good family, they married me off. We have a culture of giving dowry. A girl from a rich family can change her son's life. My son will prosper. If he gets a dowry, maybe he'll be gifted a motorcycle, which could be very useful.
To support his family, Shahidul has become a daily wage worker.
তুমি ব্যাগ ধরবা আমি মাছ ধরব ঠিক আছে
But he is a fisherman like most in the area. For him, the Ganges Delta that flows through the region is not just a blessing, but also a curse. Last November, a powerful cyclone swept everything away.
During this cyclone, there was a massive flood. The water washed away all the fish in this pond and destroyed all my paddy crops. I had loans to pay. I've leased this pond for 500 euros. Given these circumstances, if I had a daughter, I wouldn't be able to provide for her properly. I would also have to marry her off at a young age.
Reports indicate after a natural disaster, child marriages increase by 40% in the region. During such times, families lose their primary source of income. Marrying off their daughters is often viewed as the only way for families to survive financially. To put an end to child marriage, an association was set up in the village with the help of UNICEF and the Bangladeshi government.
If you're unaware of how child marriage impacts our community, we're here to explain.
Today, Murshida is here to lead an awareness campaign for the women of the village.
Do you think child marriage is beneficial?
In their father's home, girls don't have to worry about responsibilities. At their in-laws, the workload increases.
If a girl marries at a young age, she also runs the risk of dying during childbirth. Pregnancy during childhood is incredibly risky and life-threatening.
Most of the women present here were married off as minors.
My own child marriage caused a lot of issues. That's why I never want my daughters to face the same problems. I want them to get educated and be independent when they grow up.
However, natural disasters frequently undo all the progress achieved through these campaigns.
Last year, 3 cyclones devastated families, leaving them financially shattered. One family lost their house and their main source of livelihood, fishing, due to floods. Left with no options, they arranged the marriage of their underage daughter. The blame is unfairly placed on the girl. Families think marrying her off will ease their burden.
In a country where child marriage is rampant, climate change is a double burden for women. Every year, over 400,000 people flee their villages and crowd into the slums of Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. Here, parents choose to marry off their children to keep them safe, like Asma, who grew up in the north of the country.
When I moved here, I worked different jobs on the streets and at construction sites. I took my 2 sons with me, while my teenage daughter stayed home. My daughter fell in love with someone, but the boys from the neighborhood started harassing her. I felt the only way to protect her was to get her married. Because I was afraid that if something went wrong, what would we do? We're poor, and everyone knows we don't have a lot of choices.
Her daughter agreed to speak about the harassment she faced after moving to the slums. To ensure her safety, we are keeping her identity anonymous.
The boys in the slum behaved badly with me. They spread rumors saying that if I didn't marry, something terrible would happen to me. So my uncle and mother decided I should get married. And as the threats grew more intense, it affected my mental health. I felt tortured, especially since I was so young at the time.
The harassment she faced in the slums stopped only after her marriage. She was only 14 at the time. "300 kilometers away in the far south of Bangladesh, these teenagers are defying the conservative society with a sport that stands in stark contrast to the norms of patriarchy imposed on them. Fatima is 16. She started surfing 4 years ago.
Whenever I go down to the sea, I feel excited. It's an incredible feeling.
The group is coached voluntarily by Rashid Alam, a surfer from Cox's Bazar. He founded the Bangladesh Surf Association in the early 2000s. Today, he has brought the girls to a new surfing spot.
Conditions look really good. The wave, really nice, come through line by line.
He dreams of seeing Fatima compete in the world's biggest surfing events, starting with Tokyo, Asia's largest competition, at the end of 2025.
As I was doing well in surfing, my coach promised to give me another board. So the last time my coach travelled, he gave me this one. When I surf, I feel very happy. I don't get this sort of pleasure from any other sport. I hope this passion for surfing stays alive within me forever. As I grow older, I dream of traveling abroad with my surfboard. With my surfing, I want to show my community and those who make negative comments about us that girls here are capable of achieving great things.
If Fatima and the other girls have learned to ignore the criticism, it's largely due to Rashid's unwavering support. Over the years, he has become a guardian to them, protecting them as they transition into adulthood.
I heard from other people to gossip, like women surfing is not that good, they should stay inside of the house. People call them even like a prostitutes as well when they walk into the beach. So I heard their feelings, they don't want to continue to surf. I said, then mean you give up? You can't give up. Just fight what you like to surf, yeah?
To ensure the girls continue surfing, Rashid keeps strong ties with their families.
Assalamu alaikum. Khaina
Fatima never knew her father, but her mother Sara Khatun has supported her from day one, an exception among the surfers.
People used to criticize me a lot, but I chose to ignore it because I am not dependent on them for paying my bills. I earn my livelihood and support my family. Yes, people do talk about getting Fatima married. Even her friends' mothers talk about this. But what matters most to me is her future. Whether she excels in surfing or academics, I want Fatima to thrive in both.
I used to surf along with many of my female friends, but now many of them are not allowed to surf by their guardians, and many of my friends are now married. But I can do whatever I want. I can surf and hang out with friends. I feel like my life is without pressure. I don't want to spoil my life by getting married. I just want to grow up.
According to UNICEF, at the current rate of progress, it would take over 200 years to end child marriages. However, the Bangladeshi government has promised to intensify its efforts and eradicate them by 2041.